Hello. I just got back from purchasing some CDs. Well, actually, I I found them on a one of the Facebook CD trading, selling, buying groups that I'm on. Do I sound sick? Does my voice sound sick? Because I am a bit sick. Well, I'm actually getting over sick. Anyway, usually people post them, don't they? All the ones that I usually show I'm opening packages. But this one, the woman said, "Can you pick them up?" And seeing as she wasn't too far away, I said, okay. And we agreed to a time. The problem was, is that I dropped my son off at his activity that he does on Saturdays. And then I was going to drive. It was just over the harbour bridge on the other side, not the other side of the sea, just kind of about 10 minutes drive from where I was. But as happens, there's a goddamn protest on today. Some dickheads with their boats driving slowly and blocking the whole motorway, the whole northern motorway, which turned a possible 10-minute journey to about an hour journey. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. And went around the whole Western Ring Road, which goes around the whole bloody city, but it was faster doing that than going over the Harbour Bridge. So I did that. Got there. It actually didn't take too long on the Ring Road. Got to the city, and the woman wasn't replying to me. I was like, "What's your address?" Didn't reply. I'm like, "What the bloody hell are you?" It was at the time that we had said we were going to meet, and then finally she got back, and she was it was about where I thought it was, but she lived in an apartment, and one of those gated apartments, so you can't just walk in. You've got to get someone buzz you in through the gate, and so she buzzed me. I called her, and then she buzzed me in, and it was an older lady. But I bought these. These were $5 each, which is about the typical price on the trading groups. Five, if it's a rare thing, maybe 10. So I got four. If you wonder what the protest was about, the protest was where I live in Auckland. There's the water. Auckland is a very narrow city, and it's on one side, the west coast of Auckland, the west coast beaches. It's the Tasman Sea, which goes out into the up towards Australia. The Tasman Sea separates New Zealand and Australia. And on the east coast beaches, which is close to where I live, is the Pacific Ocean. But it's not directly onto the Pacific Ocean. There's a harbour, the Waitemata Harbour, and there's a gulf, Gulf Gulf, called the Hauraki Gulf, which is kind of like a protected. There's a lot of islands. There's a big volcano, Rangitoto Island, and that kind of protected, sheltered area before you get into the open ocean or the Pacific is a popular place for boaties and fishermen and divers and all sorts, because it's close to the city, and it's very beautiful, and but apparently it's been overfished, and so they're making it a marine reserve. And so in marine reserves, you are not allowed to fish. But there's some, I don't know the exact issue. Commercial fishermen still have some access to it. But anyway, all these guys, fishermen, are unhappy about that. So they hooked up their boats to their cars, which are their utes or trucks, and did like a convoy down the northern motorway into the city, which is fine. But they were driving particularly slow, and so bring the whole bloody motorway system to a standstill. And the reason I know that is because I was heading north while they were heading south, and I could see every now and then there would be one of them kind of blocking the motorway, holding up all the cars behind them to kind of slow down. Because if they were just driving normal speed, even if there was a few hundred extra people on the road towing boats, it's not going to slow down. But they were purposefully slowing it down, and that really pisses me off. Because it's Saturday and there's not as many people working today, but there's still people who work. I work Saturdays. I'm not working today, but I'm a shift worker, so I work 24/7. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean I'm not going to work. And so I know the stress of trying to get to work and there being traffic snarl-ups, and the thought of someone doing that on purpose really fucking pisses me off, because you don't mess with someone's job. That's something I feel very strongly about. When someone's working and they're providing for their family, and you're protesting something and you're purposefully trying to block that person from getting to their job, that they will get in trouble if they're late. And I know it's a fine line between, well, the right to protest, and the whole purpose of protest is supposed to be disruption. And yes, and I think there's gradations to this. If there was some massive issue, they found out they were, beating up babies in the hospital or something, ridiculous. Okay, then what? I can understand. And the government is doing nothing about it. I can understand, yes, getting on the motorway and blocking the motorway, because that's such like a heinous issue. This one's about guys, leisure fishermen, guys who can afford to have a boat. That's the thing I noticed. These guys can all afford to have boats. And when I was a kid, it was actually quite common to people have their own boat. Because New Zealand is an island nation, and there's around Auckland, you're always kind of within 15 minutes of the coastline. But nowadays, to have your own boat, you're going to be pretty well off. So these all rich people. Anyway, let's leave that. And let's see the CDs I got. 4 of them. Show them one at a time. First one, a classic. A CD I've owned. Well, this is my second copy, because I had this originally on cassette when it first came out, and I also owned it on CD probably about 20 years ago. And so this is my third copy, my second copy of the CD, Nirvana Unplugged in New York. An absolute classic. All of Nirvana's, catalog is classic in my opinion. And this, as much as any other. You can see it has the original sticker on it. I remember this sticker. All 14 songs performed for MTV's Unplugged, including 2 tracks not featured on the original broadcast. So this came out in 94, the end of 94. When I see that disc, it's very kind of, brings a lot of memories back, because I played this a lot. It's of that era, kind of the early mid-90s, kind of alternative rock, grunge. This is one of my favorite albums. It's brilliant. You can see here the jewel case teeth are pressed in, which means the CD does not sit securely, or as securely as it might. The disc itself looks very good condition. There's a fingerprint down there I can see, but other than that, it looks scratch-free. I've actually got some spare ones of these. I can replace that. I put them in a box, so I packed them up already. Anyway, I know where they are. I can replace them. This was $5. This is the kind of thing that I've been wanting to buy since I started recollecting 5 years ago. But I knew I don't need to buy it new or over $5, because it would turn up eventually either for $1 in a secondhand shop or in this kind of situation. There they are. There's Kurt and Pat Smear in the background. Dave on the drums, Chris Novoselic playing his piano accordion as well as bass, and then the cello, was that the guy from the Meat Puppets? No, sorry, it wasn't. They did the guitar. Laurie Goldstone was on cello. And the Kirkwood brothers were on guitar for the Meat Puppet songs. They recorded this, like it says, in New York. I think it was in Hell's Kitchen, the Hell's Kitchen area in Manhattan. I know that when Alice in Chains did their Unplugged, they didn't do it in the same place. They did it in Brooklyn, in a studio in Brooklyn. So obviously it's a kind of a collection of originals, their own songs from Bleach, like About a Girl, and from Nevermind, such as Come As You Are, or On a Plane, and from In Utero, such as Penny Royalty or Dumb. And then we have some Meat Puppet songs. I think the Meat Puppet songs are Oh Me, Plateau, and Lake of Fire. Is that right? 10 Living Swans? I'm pretty sure, because Kurtwood plays on those 3 tracks. And then we've got Man Who Sold the World, which is obviously David Bowie. Where Did You Sleep Last Night, which is a Lead Belly song, an old blues song. And what am I missing? Oh, Jesus Don't Want Me for a Sunbeam, which is a song by the Vaselines, I believe. There's not much else I can really say about this. It's I have this album, the memories of this album are so kind of intertwined with those years, 94, 95, around Christmas 94, because I think it came out in November 94 from memory, end of 94. I guess they're trying to kind of cash in on it in a degree, because Kurt had only recently passed away. Nirvana's fame was still kind of at a high point, and the record company wanted something out to kind of, well, cash in sounds very kind of cynical, but it kind of is a cash in, isn't it? But it stands alongside their other albums. Obviously, it's different. It's kind of acoustic, but it's brilliant. My favorite song on here. It changes a lot. I'd say at the moment it's probably Oh Me, and when I say at the moment, I say probably for the last kind of 10 years, that's been the song that's kind of stood out to me. Where Did You Sleep Last Night is amazing. It's a great album. You can see here it's produced by Scott Litt with Nirvana. Scott Litt did a lot of the REM albums, maybe all of the REM albums. I'm not sure if it was all of them. Did he do the ones in the early years, in the 80s, and the independent? Not sure. Okay, so that's disc 1, $5. Disc 2, $5. Who's That Old Man? The Cure, Staring at the Sea, the singles collection. I talked about this kind of relatively recently, maybe a month or 2 ago, when I showed their copy of, what was it? I bought the top, or was it another time? Can't remember. It all gets mixed up in my mind. But this was also for sale new when I bought that Cure album at Marbeck's, and they were $15, but I think they're on sale. It was before the closing down sale, so they were like 25% off. I think it was $11 or something like that, or $12. Anyway, I got it secondhand for $5. Now, Staring at the Sea is not something I've always kind of been desperately after, because a lot of these songs, obviously, I have on other albums, but it does have some of the singles that are not on the other albums that I have. And so that's good. And it is part of the discography. And like I've said, I'm trying to slowly collect the entire Cure discography. So here we are, one step closer. You can see that the alignment, or the artwork, whatever you want to call it, is a little bit munched there. Just on that one, not on that one though. That's from someone kind of pushing it and not getting it properly underneath that half moon tab, half circle tab. But the jewel casing's fine. The teeth are intact. That's good. Let's look at the disc. Looks pretty good for a CD that looks like it's from. It's not the reissue. They Fiction has reissued a lot of these in the 2010s, about 15 years ago. But this one looks like this is the original, because you can see by this is very 80s. This is when they still had kind of like what do you call it? Almost instructions, what CDs are. The Combat Disc digital audio system offers the best possible sound reproduction on a small, convenient sound carrier unit. But these kind of, after, I guess, from about the late 80s onwards, you didn't see that anymore. This was released in 86. I'm not sure if this is actually in 86. Like it says 86, 86, so it actually might be from the original 86 issue, which is in remarkably good condition if that's true. Looks like they barely played the CD in that time, but anyway, that's that. Oh, as for songs on this, yeah, Killing an Arab is a great song. The Caterpillar, I love that song. A Forest. Anyway, 62 minutes. What's next? So we've had one Nirvana, one Cure, and we have another Cure. Wish from 92, isn't it? Let's see. Yes. Can you see that? 1992. Now, Wish is an album that you don't see a condition that is a little bit worse than the other two I've just shown. It's not terrible or anything, but you can see a couple of little scratches there, up here, and down here. And there's also this, is that on that way on the other side, or the edge? I think it's on the top side actually, that's right. Hang on, can you see that? This is the dreaded CD rot. Anyway, I guess we shall see. It was only $5 as well, so it's not the end of the world. But the thing is, that will play absolutely fine. You can kind of see there, on that angle, you can see the scratches. There's actually quite a few there, aren't there? There and there. There's a smudge there. But that will play. I've got many CDs that are far, far, far more scratched than that and play absolutely fine. So the Wish came in 92, and this was kind of I think this is their biggest selling album from memory, Wish. So we see we got Open, High, Apart, From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, Windy Time, Doing, You Unstuck, Friday, I'm in Love, which is kind of, I guess, drove the sales for this. Trust. Actually, I'd be interested to know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not their highest selling album. I'm sure I've read somewhere it is. But don't you think some of those other songs in the late 80s, and they just seem more, you hear them more than some of the songs. Like, other than Friday, I'm in Love, and maybe a couple of the other ones. Yeah, anyway, who knows. Also available from The Cure. So, we got Three Imaginary Boys, got it. Boys Don't Cry, don't got it. 17 seconds, got it. Faith, got it. Pornography, got it. Japanese Whispers, don't got it. The Top, got it. And then After the Top, no. Obviously, it's got that today. No, no, no. I used to own that. 27 years ago. But that has been sold or stolen or something. So typical liner notes, there's lots of lyrics, some illustrations. Don't know who did the illustrations for this. Maybe it says, was it Robert? Robert Smith, voice, guitar, 6-string bass, keyboards. Simon Gallup, bass, keyboards. Paul Thompson, song, guitar at the stage. Boris is on the drums. Perry Balmonte on the guitar and 6-string bass and keyboards. Produced by The Cure and David M. Allen. Trying to see the artwork. Thanks to, special thanks to Susie, Mark, Jess, no. Extra special thanks to Kate, no. It doesn't actually say, maybe I've just missed it. Oh well, it's not really that important, is it? Probably does say somewhere in there, but sometimes when I'm like trying to read things in a hurry, I miss them, and I'm kind of like wasted my time reading it, because I could have read it if I took in my time, but I didn't. So so yes, there we have another album from The Cure to add to my collection and to listen to. See, all of these so far have been the that kind of 80s, early 90s black edging before we get to the era of having the clear edging. And also the same with the back plates, the liners. There's no clear thing with the artwork in the background. So we've had Nirvana, Cure. Are we going to go psych and come back to Nirvana? Are we going to have another Cure, or is it going to be something completely different? It's Nirvana. From the Muddy Banks of the Wishkar, an album I've never owned before. I remember when this came out, again, kind of in that late 90s. I'm going to guess this came out in 96. Do we ever? Oh yeah, 96. So yeah. See, the way I do that, not that there's anything amazing with just remembering a goddamn year, is that I think about my memories of this and try to connect to other things at the time. So I remember having a conversation with someone about this album in a classroom when I was at high school, and the classroom was a teacher who I had when I was in 5th form, and 5th form was 1996, and that's how I make that guess, and I was right in that case. In many cases I'm wrong, aren't I? It's obviously a live album. The Wishkar is a river in Washington State. I think it's the river that runs through Aberdeen, where Kurt's from originally. I think there's 2 rivers. There's the Grey River, because it's Grey's Harbour. I might be wrong on that, but I'm fairly certain the Wishkar River, if not running through Aberdeen, is nearby in that area around, what is the other cities, like Montesanto and Cosmopolis? If you read the Heavier Than Heaven or Come As You Are, they talk about these places around, was it kind of southwest Washington State. So what do we got here? Got a mixture of bits and pieces from, again, all the albums. Skull from Bleach, Drain You from Nevermind, Aneurysm from Incesticide. And do we have any? Oh yeah, and Scentless Apprentice, Heart Shaped Box, Milk Kit, Polly, all from In Utero. So a good kind of coverage of their entire career. Now it'll be interesting to know when this was recorded, what shows, where in the world, what time. Oh mother! Obviously, if it's got In Utero stuff, it must be. Maybe it's made up of different shows. Okay, so here we go. So it is different shows. So we've got School from 91 in the Holland, the Netherlands. 91, 91, 91, 91, 91, 93. Okay, so the first 7 are all from 91. And either from the show in Amsterdam or a show in the Del Mar Fairgrounds in California. Don't know what that is, where that is. But, well, obviously in California, but what the Del Mar, is it like maybe an outdoor show? Then after that, we got 93 in Springfield, Massachusetts, and 91 in Rome. 93 in Seattle. 93 in LA at the Forum. 94, okay, it's a very late one there. January 94 in Seattle as well. 91, 89, and that's the earliest. So it ranges from 89 in London through to 94 in Seattle. 89, there's a very early version of Breed, 89 version of Breed in London. Because Breed was on Nevermind, which is 91, so they had that song playing it live well before then. Who wrote this? We played for, obviously maybe this must be Chris, maybe, or, no, it's me, Chris, Chris Novoselic. You wrote the liner notes. I don't know if I talked about this recently or in another video. Maybe I just thought it in my head. Chris Novoselic is sometimes a a tough listen. Like, see, when he's interviewed with someone else, he interrupts a lot. Like a lot of those old Nirvana interviews, they'll ask a question of Kurt, and it'll be like a good question, you want to hear the answer, and then Chris will come and go blah, 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 over the top, and you're like, shut the fuck up. Let me answer the question. And then I was watching and I appreciate Chris Novoselic. I think he's a brilliant bassist, and I think he added a lot to Nirvana's sound, and also just to the band kind of as a whole. Like his presence and his aura really kind of matched Nirvana. You know, like someone, I think it was Dave Grohl, said when you saw a picture of kind of late 80s era Nirvana, it looked like a freak show. Like you had this like 6'8" Chris, and then Kurt, who always looked like homeless, emaciated, and then Chad Channing, who was like 4'11". Well, he wasn't that small, but he was very short. And it just looked like a weird combination of people, but I think that kind of is part of it. I think Chris' presence was part of the thing. Like, I'm sure people say, well, it's just the songs. Who cares? The other things, and that's true. But I think the other things do matter in a way. And I've talked about this a lot, how certain members' presence really impact the sound, even if they're not directly writing the music. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that I saw an interview with him and Kim Thale from Soundgarden and Jack and Dino from, I talked about this recently, so I'm sorry for repeating myself. Jack and Dino, the producer who produced Bleach and many other those Seattle band albums for Sub Pop. It was, what's his face? Rick Beato was interviewing them. And every time, not every time, actually, I actually think Chris has improved in this. He doesn't do it as badly, but he did do it, that Rick would ask a question to Kim or Jack, and he'd really want to hear the answer. And then Chris would answer it. The question was not for him. It was a question about Soundgarden. And then Chris would come and go, blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, you got to learn when to kind of hold back and not put yourself at the forefront of everything. But I forgive him. Always played in bare feet. It's a great picture. That one on the back is great as well. That's awesome. It's kind of a famous one. I think it's a Charles Peterson shot from... I think that's been used on something else before, hasn't it? On a book or something. You know where I think I've seen that? Is on the BBC documentary 7 Ages of Rock. And if you watch the intro to that, it kind of does this effect where it takes pictures but kind of moves them, so it almost looks like the pictures are live. And it kind of, it's like a slideshow going through different things. I'm pretty sure that's one of the pictures they use, which you can see why. It's such an amazing picture. Like the way it captures the energy of that time, and you know, I know very, very, very little about photography and what makes a picture good or bad, but just to me it seems like a brilliant photograph. I wonder if it is a Charles Peterson shot. I'm fairly certain it is. Let's see if it says. Maybe it's not going to say. I have a t-shirt, still got it, with that image on it. The t-shirt is completely decimated, like it's full of holes. And I only really have it now as kind of a souvenir, because I feel, you know, it's an actual t-shirt from that era. But yeah. Okay, I don't think they're going to have the... Oh, here we go, down there. Well, it doesn't say a specific one. So it says photography, Lisa Johnson, Mark Cates, Kevin Mazur, and Charles Peterson. I'd say those live shots would be, you know, from a variety of people. That looks like a Charles... actually, I'm not sure. I'm just saying that because he's famous doing black and white and kind of action shots like that. That looks like Charles Peterson. That's like Charles Peterson. Whereas a lot of these ones here don't. That is kind of typical band shots, you know, you'd see in any kind of concert. Not sure about those ones. That one's not Charles Peterson as far as I know. So that does look like a Charles Peterson shot. But I could be completely off. I haven't looked at the disc, have I? The jewel case is in good condition, no cracks, and the teeth are all intact. The disc is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Looks like it's never been bloody played. So the person was a big listener of The Cure, because this one also has been played to buggery, but some of those other ones, not so much. So yeah, that was my Saturday morning, made more dramatic by fishermen protesting on the motorway. But yeah, 4 for $20, $5 each. All things that I am after in one way or another. So happy to have those. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you for listening or watching, as it may be.